Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Bom dia a todos. I'm Adam, the Deputy Director of Britcham in Paraná State, where I'm also the Honorary British Consul. I'm absolutely thrilled to open up another brilliant Britcham webinar promoted by the Paraná branch of the Chamber. Welcome to everyone here with us today. We have an awesome discussion that we're about to kick off. A global view, what does the AI revolution mean for cybersecurity? A really interesting topic, and we're honored to have global experts from the UK and Brazil, from both the private and public sectors, joining us today to discuss and bring us some cutting-edge insights. As artificial intelligence rapidly reshapes industries across the globe, its implications for cybersecurity are profound and far-reaching. The AI revolution not only brings innovative tools for defending against cyber threats, but also introduces new risks that challenge our traditional approaches to safeguarding critical information, data, and infrastructure, which makes this conversation more urgent and pertinent than ever. First things first, a round of thanks to our key stakeholders. Thanks to Britcham supporting members, whose brands were widely publicized on the opening slide of this webinar, to my good friend Leonardo Trench, our Regional Director of Britcham Paraná, for all the partnership, to Luciano Moraes and Tiago Sombra, President and Vice President of the Technology Committee, responsible for today's event, and of course to the brilliant team of Britcham for organizing another top-notch webinar. Thanks to our speakers as well, Bruna Toso de Alcântara, LATAM Regional Cyber and Tech Advisor at the British Consulate General in São Paulo, and Lee Stevens, joining us from the UK, Global Head of Security Advisory Services at BP. Thanks for you both for sharing your knowledge with our audience today. And of course, last but not least, huge thanks to everyone tuning in and joining us today. Before we start today's talk, just for a bit of background and to highlight the key role Britcham plays, the British Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Brazil, Britcham, has been operating for almost 110 years, 108 years, and is the most relevant forum of the Brazil-UK business and government community to increase trade, investment, services, and bilateral relationships. We operate nationally in Brazil with branches in Paraná, São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and Minas Gerais. We bring together in the chamber major British investors and companies in Brazil from the most diverse sectors of the economy, as well as Brazilian companies that engage in UK-Brazil relations and commercial endeavors. The Chamber operates through 13 thematic committees, including the one responsible for today's webinar, technology, as well as agribusiness, both of which are coordinated by Britcham Paraná, but we also have human capital and education, international trade and investments, defense and security, economy and finance, energy, infrastructure, legal tax, environment, sustainability, mining, health, risks, and insurance, and also with the Consultative Advocacy Commission on priority issues on climate, tax, and regulatory agendas. The initiatives carried out until now this year include in-person events, webinars, lunch lectures, technical visits, seminars, meetings of CEOs of public authorities, amongst many other initiatives. All the activities we carry out follow and reinforce Britcham's mission to promote bilateral business between Brazil and the United Kingdom, working to create prosperous, innovative, and sustainable business environments and societies, serving members and contributing to the growth of trade, industry, services, and investments. I invite everyone to visit Britcham's website, www.britcham.com.br, and participate in the Chamber's next events. And now, without much further ado, I'm very honored to present today's excellent speakers. Bruna works as the Cyber&Tech Advisor, LATAC, at the British Consulate General in São Paulo. Previously, she served as technical advisor to the Brazilian Internet Steering Committee and in consulting work in the area of cybersecurity. Bruna holds a PhD in International Strategic Studies from the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, with expertise in cybersecurity, defense, and diplomacy topics. And joining us directly from the UK, Lee Stevens, who has over 20 in IT. Since 2013, he has primarily focused on cybersecurity. Lee has supported government, healthcare, hospitality, retail, and logistics sectors. He leads BT's Global Security Advisory Services team, who cover multiple areas, including GRC, infrastructure security, cloud security, OT security, cyber, and identity. He's focused on great communication, problem solving, leading inclusively, and growing talent. Great to have you both today. We're very honored. Kicking off today's webinar, let's start with Bruna. Bruna, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Adam. And I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation to participate in this webinar today, which has such an intriguing question that raises concerns about safety and security issues. I would like to share some initial thoughts on the UK's understanding of these issues, focusing firstly on its international engagement and delving more into AI risks and further security aspects later in today's debate. We are indeed at a pivotal moment in which artificial intelligence is reshaping how we interact with the world, and this is presenting both opportunities and risks. Harnessed properly with the proper drivers to deliver responsible adoption across sectors, AI has the potential to yield substantial economic benefits by accelerating productivity, improving efficiency, and providing reliable insights in many fields around the world. However, while AI technology has advanced and enhanced efficiency and productivity, they remain susceptible to an ever-growing number of security threats and vulnerabilities that could result in the substantial loss of people's personal data, financial loss, reputational damage for an organization, or more profound breaches into an organization's infrastructure. Besides, already skilled cyber actors will almost certainly be interested in incorporating AI into their tactics and techniques, which will improve their effectiveness. As a result, the volume and scale of cyber activity, particularly from novice cybercriminals and hacktivists, is likely to grow with advancements in AI. This presents a considerable challenge to the overall cyber resilience, particularly in the future as the developments in this technology continue to happen at considerable pace. In this regard, in September 2021, the UK government published its national AI strategy, setting out the UK's strategic intent to guide action over the next 10 years. And the UK's leadership in ensuring it gets the national and international governance of AI technologies right to encourage innovation, investment, and protect the public and its fundamental values forms is one of the national AI strategy's 3 pillars. And on this note, of not only domestically, but also international engagement. At the international level, the UK launched the AI Safety Summit in November 2023, recognizing the need for international conversation on how to work together to meet the novel challenges AI risks pose, combat misuse of models by non-state actors, and promote best practice. The Summit Declaration, also known as the Bletchley Declaration, highlighted the importance of ensuring that AI is designed, developed, deployed, and used in a manner that is safe, human-centric, trustworthy, and responsible for the benefit of all. In this regard, multi-stakeholder collaboration, including internationally, forms the backbone of the UK's approach to shared AI safety. Still in 2023, the UK established the world's first AI Safety Summit, the AI Safety Institute, a part of the summit, and the first state-backed organization focused on advanced AI safety for the public interest was created. And continuing to push for international debate on this issue, in May 2024, the AI Seoul Summit, co-hosted by the South Korean and British governments, resulted in a new declaration that has committed nations to work together to launch an international network to accelerate the advancements of science of AI safety. Deepening partnerships with AI safety institutes and similar organizations is an area of work the UK has already kickstarted through a landmark agreement with the US earlier this year. Building then on the Bletchley Declaration, the newly agreed statement recognizes safety, innovation, inclusivity are interrelated goals and advocates for embracing sociocultural and linguistic diversity in AI models. And more recently, the UK played a key role in the negotiations that framed the first international treaty addressing the risks of AI. The new framework agreed by the Council of Europe commits parties to collective action to manage AI products and protect the public from potential misuse. As the first legally binding international treaty on AI, the convention will ensure a united front across the world to manage the dangers of the technology in line with UK shared values. And as one may notice, the complex AI scenario requires an active presence in the international arena that asks for bilateral, multilateral, and multi-stakeholder collaboration. The UK is committed to this approach, ensuring that all stakeholders are included and part of a global effort. And conscious of my time, I will end my exposition here by giving some food for thought for the further debate. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you very much, Bruna. Excellent stuff. Some great insights there to kick off today's webinar. And now, very honored to hand over to Lee to provide some insights as well from his side.
Awesome. Thank you. And good morning, everybody. Really great to be here and to spend a bit of time with you this morning. So I was listening to both Adam and Bruna talking through, and I took some quick notes of some of the things that they said. Adam said, this is going to be profound, far-reaching stuff. Bruna said, this is going to be a pivotal moment. But both of them mentioned also the risks that come with it. And certainly I've been having a lot of conversations with a number of organizations recently about the technology, the strategic planning conversations where AI comes up as one of the key elements in the future of cybersecurity. The problem I've been finding is that in many cases it's fairly vague or unclear as to what the specifics are of the roadmap. And really, where are we going and how are we going to get there? So to try and do that, I think I'd like to cover off a number of specific items that I think all organizations should be considering as they move into this new AI world. So the first one, AI is a many-faceted item, but essentially at its core, it's programming with data and having clear understanding of data sets, of what they are and how they work, and the quality of those data sets is fundamental to getting good value out of AI. The flip side of that has already been mentioned, and Bruna touched very eloquently on some of the privacy aspects, some of the regulatory elements that we need to be considering, and certainly one of the key recommendations that I've been making to a lot of organizations is that they need to have a very clear AI policy that sets out where, when, and how they should use AI, and how their data, specifically the data that's confidential to any given organization, is used within the wider landscape. The second item that I wanted to come on to is risks. So much is made of some of the bad things of what AI risks represent for organizations. There's some very scary stuff in the future, especially around some of the artificial general intelligence items. I'm really delighted that some of the work that's being done in the UK and in Brazil is looking at how we balance both innovation and protection of society as a whole. But more thinking closer to home and thinking about which are the kind of key risks that I see from the attackers that are out there that we as cybersecurity professionals need to defend on. I've got 4 that I'd like to particularly calling out, starting, if you like, at the relatively benign, moving through to ultimately a really serious risk that we see in the future. So the first one is all about over-reliance on AI. It's clearly far from perfect. We know that AI can hallucinate, can make stuff up because it seems as though that might be logical. For example, in 2023, a US law firm and 2 of its lawyers were fined for submitting 6 fake court citations that ChatGPT just made up. X's image generator Grok does have some guide rails, but there's also been people that have made Mickey Mouse with beer and a cigarette, or Donald Trump and Kamala Harris pointing guns. So there's some important things that we need to be thinking about right now in terms of over-reliance, but probably more reputational than business affecting. And I think many of those things will be sorted. Looking a little further out, AI data models and tampering, especially as organizations adopt small language models that are more relevant for individual businesses, tampering and the theft of those likely to come to the fore. More theoretical at this stage, but likely to become much more important. Deepfakes, another big topic that we're certainly concerned about, and the capabilities of AI to generate realistic fakes. Certainly a key threat. There's certainly a high-profile case in the Far East where after a phishing email, a financial analyst in an organization went on a video call with his CFO and following that gave $25 million US dollars out of the company. So feels like a Hollywood plot. But this example demonstrates there's a real threat and likely to be something that grows. But the real big threat, and the thing that we need to be concerned about, is really the same attacks, but more and better. AI-enhanced traditional forms of cyber attack are going to be the big item for us to be concerned about. And it's really more about using things like phishing, malware creation, OSINT exploits, password cracking, identity, vulnerability discovery, and much more. These will all be powered and enabled by AI to happen at much greater speed, something that we need to take consideration of. The final item for me to mention really is just about the amazing work that's going on in the world of cybersecurity vendors and solution providers who are using some of these tools in amazing ways to build great capability, which is going to make it really fantastic for us as defenders to use some of the tools and the capabilities. My key message to you is get out and ask some of the questions of the people that you're working with, because there's going to be some great scope for experimentation and future items that will really drive us into a much better place to defend against some of these key risks. With that, I'll throw it back.
Okay, Bruna, Lee, thank you very much. I think that was great opening and lots of food for thought. But I'd like to start teasing the audience with a couple of questions, right? So you already touched upon different views on AI and the relevance for cybersecurity, right? But could you elaborate more about the relevance of AI for cybersecurity, like not only on the attacks, but how can we defend better, right? Taking AI into consideration. So I don't know, Bruna or Lee, which one would like to start?
I'm happy to start. So the link between AI and cybersecurity from a government point of view is related not only to security, but also to economic aspects. In this regard, the government is focusing on addressing the cybersecurity risks to AI to support innovation by ensuring that the organizations can be more productive and offer better service to their customers, helping drive growth in the UK economy, but also supporting UK government's digital objectives to deploy technologies so that citizens can have access to more efficient and modern service. And this is only possible with a secure environment. In that regard, the UK's national cybersecurity strategy already recognized that AI would have a significant impact on UK cybersecurity, and of course, at the international level, as I mentioned in my initial thoughts. And on that, Lee explained a little bit about attacks moving more, getting better So not only usual suspects use AI on their benefit for malicious activity, but also within the system themselves, there are some vulnerabilities that can be explored. And in that regard, the government has actually, in the beginning of this year, commissioned a research on cybersecurity risks to AI, reporting the need for a holistic approach on that. And this comes a little bit on the attack and defender change of landscape. Of course, scale is the new revolution, if you might say, but AI can be used by defenders to identify potential threats, to help in reacting more proactively towards them as well. And particularly domestically, the UK continues to work on improving cyber resilience of the public and private sector through government-backed initiatives such as Cyber Essentials and the Cyber Essentials Readiness Toolkit. So it's two sides of the coin that we can explore, both for defense and for attack, considering some of the risks.
I mean, I'm super excited about the possibilities that AI brings for us as defenders. If I look at that initial statement I made about AI is all about the data, there's one thing in cybersecurity: we've got a lot of data, a huge amount of data. The signals and telemetry that we get from networks, from cloud services, from data centers, and so on. There's a huge amount of data. And one thing we've seen that AI is really, really great at is picking through lots and lots of data from all sorts of different places and then bringing out insight and guidance. And what I see already happening within our security operations centers within BT is our analysts being able to use AI as a co-pilot, not a co-pilot in the Microsoft sense, I mean, but as a guide, an assistant, a supporter that helps them to comb through all that vast quantity of data and bring out insights and bits of data that bits of information that will mean that they can do their job faster, quicker, and easier. So I do think that AI is going to be brilliant for us as cybersecurity defenders. It'll be an extra shield that will help us to protect the organizations that we look after.
Yeah, and Leif, allow me to build on that one, because historically, and Bruna, I think one of the biggest challenges we have is to get more and more cybersecurity professionals in the market, right? So it has become a scarce and very difficult to find a skill set out there, right? But as we enter in the AI world, now, let's say some of basic tasks could be done by a trained AI, right? Does not matter what is the AI solution they're using, right? But in same token, do you see another type of skill coming in that space, like the AI trainer for cybersecurity, that could have a different flavor for someone that's looking at AI for business or any other area?
Yeah, let me start with that one. So I think exactly as you suggest, it is sometimes tough to find the people that we need in cybersecurity. One of the comments that I've had from people who have been in the industry and have left is saying that there's very many boring tasks in cybersecurity, very repetitive, very manual and laborious efforts, and a lot of the same thing day in, day out. So enabling those people to be more fulfilled by having the boring, repetitive tasks taken care of by machine learning and such similar techniques, I think will be good in terms of quality of life for those individuals. The second part of your comment there, I think, raised the possibility of of us attracting some new talent into the cybersecurity world. So some of the data scientists and experts in AI who will have an understanding on how to use these technologies to bring their skills to the forward would definitely be fantastic. Cybersecurity is very much a broad group with lots of people from different backgrounds, and I think that diversity is one of our strengths. But if we could encourage yet more people into this fantastic industry, and to bring some of those skills and to make us all better by that collaborative effort, I think that'd be super exciting. So I think there should be many very positive things that AI can bring in terms of that skills thing and people in our industry.
Yeah, if I may compliment, AI is a tool that is intended at least to enhance productivity and efficiency. So this goes to a variety of, let's say, conventional work that society is already doing. And in that regard, yes, there is gap on the workforce globally. So it's a problem that reaches not only the UK, but Brazil, other countries as well. Training people skilled enough is a challenge, but not only that, thinking differently, more holistically, more inclusive on bringing different backgrounds, reskilling people to these new tasks is something that companies and also the governments should take into consideration. So we could avoid AI biases, just some lines of thoughts, broaden up perceptions on the threat landscape, how we can prevent, how we can use AI as a shield, as Lee mentioned. So this would be my complementary.
I think, but also AI as a training aid would be another element to that. So Bruna made a brilliant point there about people reskilling from other industries. There's a lady within my team who was a call center worker in the UK. She felt that she'd gone as far as she wanted to go in that line of her career. She took on the challenge of reskilling into to cybersecurity, and she's one of the most exciting and dynamic people in my team. But if we could enable that progress for more people to come across, and if AI learning could be a way to do that, that would truly be a fantastic thing.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Yeah, and you know, at the Britcham, we try to foster business between the UK and Brazil, right? So I think this one is more for Bruna. So, what is UK's competitive advantage, and how we can foster more collaboration to have opportunities for both countries in that area?
Oh, perfect, great question. So the UK's technology sector is thriving, with the country being the first in Europe to produce 100 tech unicorns. And the combined value of UK tech companies founded since 2000 is now around 540 billion pounds, after the biggest year-on-year increase since 2013-14. And the UK is more attractive to international investors than ever, with 63% of tech investment in 2020 coming from overseas, up from 50% in 2016. And on AI particularly, is the fastest growing deep technology in the world, with huge potential to rewrite the rules of entire industries that we've been talking about previously. And with over 3,100 companies employing over 50,000 people and contributing to 3.7 billion pounds to the UK economy, the UK considers itself as already a world leader in AI. So a lot of expertise, preparedness in that regard can be shared with other countries, and particularly with Brazil. As I mentioned, bilateral relations are relevant for AI governance, and the link between AI and cybersecurity. And also in that regard, not only knowledge sharing, participating in international multi-stakeholder forum, brings together ideas, make things move. The UK has a more mature level of cybersecurity overall, and the National Cybersecurity Center has a website with a lot of open, free resource that currently are in English, but companies, especially SMEs, could use in Brazil to learn, to have this exchange of best practice, some initial ideas of guidance, and then of course Brazil is another market dimension, but some adaptations and inspirations from the UK could be possible in that regard. And then basically I would say, just to summarize this, that the UK is a leader on AI, is a mature economy on cybersecurity, and has a lot of experience to share, to inspire, and the cyber resilience in one place is not enough. Cybersecurity is a team match. So if Brazil is cyber resilience, the UK becomes cyber resilience, supply chain overall becomes more cyber resilience, and it's a win-win game.
Thank you. And Lee, would like to add something on that. So maybe not from the government perspective, but talking about your global customers, operating in Brazil, or Brazilian customers that are becoming multinational and going towards UK and other regions that you serve. So what will be your views on that?
Yeah, I think there's. I loved Bruna's comment about cybersecurity being a team sport. That there's no passport on talent. Again, is another phrase that I've heard many times in this. So I think there's a lot to learn from each other, and that whole business of collaboration and working together has been working extremely well with a number of certainly government bodies that I've seen. But what's also fantastic to see is a number of different industry bodies and industry groups that are working together. Certainly, BT ourselves as a telecommunications organization, we do a lot of work with a number of telecommunications organizations around the world. In the cybersecurity world, we are not competitors. We are all in this together against some of the attack and threat actor groups that are out there. So I think there's a tremendous amount to learn from what's happening in Brazil, and there's a tremendous amount to learn from what's happening in Singapore or Australia, and it's brilliant to be able to bring all of those things together so that we can lift the capability of everybody and be in a better position to respond to all of these risks and threats.
That's great. And Lee, right now, we see lots of organizations making decisions and looking towards AI in cybersecurity, right? So in terms of buying AI products and services, what those companies should be looking at? What should be their concerns in terms of solutions, partners, etc.?
This is still quite an immature market, I would say, in terms of the products and services that are out there. Obviously, there's still opportunity to influence and shape which direction the market is going in. So I think the advice depends upon who you are as an organization and kind of where you're at in your own maturity journey. So thinking about the very top end of the biggest, most complex organizations who already have every facet of their cybersecurity brilliantly sorted out, clearly there's a place for such organizations to lead on some of the things that are happening and to set the agenda and the tone for where AI and cybersecurity are going to provide benefits for us all. But if you come down from that lofty height, the top of the mountains, as it were, into the world where most of the rest of us live, then the answer is we've probably still got a little bit of a way to go in terms of real maturity. And again, I think Adam touched on the hype and the hype cycle that's associated with some of this. And Bruna certainly talked about potential for some of the kind of real challenges in this arena that still need to play out. So I think my advice for most organizations would be, first and foremost, make sure you're educated and aware and thinking about the topic and how it's going to apply, and getting involved in sort of local initiatives to understand what it means for your organization to be ready for the AI revolution that's coming towards us. But secondly, start asking your service providers and the vendors of the software that you already purchased today, what are they doing and where is the market going? And that they will have lots of thoughts and lots of very clever people working out how they can build some of this capability into their product sets. I think it's probably fair to say, looking at the first two waves of AI, this is not the start of AI. Certainly, BT has been involved in AI since the 1960s. First with good old-fashioned sort of hard-coded AI, and then from the sort of 90s onwards in machine learning. AI is not going to be a product that most organizations are going to buy. What it is it's going to be a feature. You're probably already using it already in your phone today, in terms of the photos that you take, or the maps applications that help you to navigate to wherever you're going to go. Those are driven by a form of artificial intelligence. And those kind of features will be built into many of the software tools, the services that we procure. And so, yeah, top advice for almost everybody. Think about how it might apply for you, but then start asking questions of your service providers and your vendors about how can you start to take advantage of all of the hard work that they're already doing.
Great, thanks, Lee. And Bruna, so today, the UK government also, acquires services and also works towards vendors, etc., to build its ecosystem, right? So, would you be able to comment something like, what's the approach, how the collaboration works, right, to be always upfront on whatever is the threat that's coming?
No, sure. So the UK has a concern on building a resilient supply chain, and then it goes with vendors and providers, and it's currently working on inputs from a call for reviews on cybersecurity and AI that started on 15th of May and ended in 9th August. So very fresh. And this analysis by the Department of Science, Innovation, and Technology is going to use the feedback of these inputs to inform government's next steps. The call for reviews sought to understand approach currently being taken to mitigate the cyber risks to AI, and then feedback on the potential policy interventions that the UK government could take forward. In that regard, it is listening more broadly and reaching this part of the supply chain, and based on factors including likely effectiveness, barriers to implementation, and benefits considered against the costs, the UK proposed then a two-part intervention that should initially be taken, which involves the creation of a voluntary code of practice, and then using this code to develop a global standard which sets out baseline security requirements for all phases of the AI life cycle. And this proposed voluntary code of practice is based on various research on the National Cybersecurity Center, the NCSC guidelines for secure AI system development that were co-sealed by agencies from 18 different countries. So again, this holistic approach, these efforts taking the pace along with the improvements and developments of this technology. It's something that the UK is pursuing and tackling with this two part of public and private sectors working together.
Great, thank you. So, I've started in technology for longer than I like to admit, but I recall that in security, one of the first things I was doing, I was still on Linux, working on IP chains, IP tables, NORT, etc., up to industry real solutions. And then after many years, I got a kind of a particular interest on quantum compute, and now we see the AI revolution that's just starting. So how you would think about this combination of quantum versus AI versus cyber, or combining all of them? What is the limits we may see on that area?
Let me start with that one. Well, that's a big question, Luciano. So I think quantum is a very exciting arena. Certainly, the possibilities of quantum computing opening up new mathematical approaches for solving some of the world's most complex problems looks very exciting. The downside to it is that if we can get stable qubits in sufficient quantity, there'll be big changes ahead in terms of global encryption standards, which obviously impacts on that cybersecurity kind of world that you mentioned. AI to this point has been largely focused around traditional computing methodologies. But I think if we look at forward a few years to a world where quantum computing can be done at scale, where we're looking at how quantum might affect some of the AI studies and models, in terms of that different mathematical models that it opens up, I think that's super exciting. So those two technology trends certainly are ones I think that we're going to see huge change and huge transformation over the next 5 to 10 year period. How it impacts then on different domains, and cybersecurity, I think, would be a domain on that, is going to be one of those exciting things that's certainly going to keep me. I too have been around a little while, but me.
I think we lost Lee. I don't know if it's just me or you guys also lost him.
I think we lost him, but if you want, I can.
Yeah, please, Bruna.
Go back to him. But the international technology strategy recognize as priority technologies both AI and quantum. I agree with Lee. The future is still to be unfold, so we don't have predictions so far. But of course, linking quantum, AI, and cybersecurity, there is this issue about cryptography, quantum changing this, needing then security, post-quantum security frameworks, thoughts on that, more in a technical perspective, of course. And then governments need to collaborate with the private sector in this regard. And that's why I wanted to reiterate the importance of engagement at national, international, even local and regional levels, for debating, for having a point of view and some initial ideas on these technologies more broadly, considering especially Brazil, that is still perfectioning its maturity level of cybersecurity. And the link with AI is the scale. So AI can scale everything up depending on how it's used. And as I mentioned before in one of my answers, it can be two sides of the coin, can be used both to attack and defense. So we must be aware of it, create a collective awareness of risks, possibilities, debate, cooperate, engage with diplomatic tools on that in a multilateral level, in a multi-stakeholder level. And yes, basically pave the way for the unfolding future that these emerging technologies will bring.
Great, Bruna. Thank you. Thank you very much. So, considering the time, I'd like to open for questions. So, everyone that joined us today, if you'd like to raise any question, please let us know, and let us know, and we can share that with Bruna and Lee for today. Yeah. So, let's see. Where's Lee?
Just jumping in, Luciano, waiting for questions from the audience. Just to pick up a point with Bruna regarding your last comment. So everything's underway, right? Emerging technology and what have you. What are the priorities from UK government perspective? What does good look like? What do we want to do, especially working with Brazil? And what are your priorities over the next few years? Where do we want to get to? Well, what are the objectives from our side?
So, of course, always the focus is to strengthen the bilateral cooperation. We have a memorandum of understanding with GSI, for instance, on cybersecurity. So we are looking at policy-related cybersecurity issues between the two countries, and considering emerging technologies, the best way to go that the UK is foreseeing is having inclusive conversations, creating voluntarily guidance, sharing best practice. Of course, there are different stages of this priority technologies. As I said, in the International Technology Strategy puts AI and quantum as priority technologies to develop. So it's a bit of the openness of the both countries on discussing these issues and how to move forward with them. And of course, fostering not only with the private sector, but also with civil society overall discussions on how to make these emerging technologies in a good use, in a responsible use, aligning even with the UK's national cybersecurity strategy of being a responsible cyber power and being a key player in the international arena on cybersecurity and the interplay and how it interplays with AI and these new technologies.
Thank you, Bruna. Excellent stuff. Luciano, can I just jump in with a question for Lee? Now he's back with us. Lee, just picking up on a few points of your introduction. I thought it was very interesting, your take on the potential, the great paradigm shift underway in the new AI world, as you put it, but also the multifaceted nature, the somewhat vagueness of AI, especially for lay people like myself, but also the clear risks involved and the importance for organizations to have a robust policy framework. And as you mentioned, the risks are also multifaceted, right? Well, lots of known knowns and perhaps some unknown unknowns, from over-reliance, deep fakes, accuracy, and I suppose at the very extreme end of the scale, a scary dystopian cybernet future, the Hollywood plot, as you mentioned. But just at a practical level, without getting away from ourselves, I saw a news story this week from Japan. The recent research program, an AI model, unexpectedly modified its own code. So as much that the system began unexpectedly modifying its own code to extend the time it had to work on a problem or some such. What's your take on such issues, how they can be fixed if they can, or mitigated? Or are we going to see increasingly examples of these type of things happening as part and parcel? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so sorry for the power issue, and apologies if I was cut off saying something interesting. Probably not. Yeah, I think these issues that you raise, I think that's something that we're going to have to grapple with as society. One of the big challenges about the guardrails that we're going to put in place and what is going to be acceptable for society as a whole and not. And certainly, if you look at the regulatory frameworks that are in place around the world, they differ very broadly. I think I mentioned Brazil and the UK are looking at it from a very sort of innovation-friendly perspective, which is really great to see. Other places, the EU, for instance, are looking at quite a lot tighter regulations in terms of what's allowed and what's possible, and where we should have much greater control and understanding of some of those things that you mentioned, the deterministic nature of can these things update themselves? How clear are we as to how well these AI models work? Why do they do the things that they do? Now, I think the other aspect to it is that I think some of these things are things that we are already used to dealing with in the human world. If I try and get inside your head, Adam, and try and work out why, Adam, did you come to that decision? Sometimes it's very difficult to understand why some people make the decisions that they make and do the things that they do. And they aren't always able to explain it. But we manage that through a series of oversights and conversations. And I think we'll need to work out those same frameworks of oversight and regulation and governance for the AI world, so that we can get the benefits, but so many of the Hollywood scary things don't come true.
Thank you, Lee. Just to flag up, all my decisions are perfectly based in logic, so I don't think there's an issue on that side. Luciano, before getting towards the end of the webinar, do you want to ask just the last few questions before we hand over for closing words from our brilliant speakers today?
Yeah, we've got a question from Richard Taylor, so from TEC Ventures. His question is, do you think the new AI world will lead to an overall positive impact on business or a reduced level of business efficiency as more firewalls, barriers, and distributed systems need to be put in place to protect business from AI-driven cyber attacks?
I love the question, Richard. And to me, I try and do as much of the world as I can with a glass half full attitude. So I think it's going to be positive. This is a technology that humans will use to be more productive, to do exciting things, to open up creative possibilities. And whilst I think there will be some people that use it for poor purposes, I've no doubt there'll be some mistakes that we make along the way. Humans over the years have been broadly good at using tools to do more exciting and more complex things. Yes, we'll have to change and adapt as we move forward in the same way that we have for so many of the other technology revolutions that have come. But I'm really excited about what it can mean. And I go into it with my eyes open, I hope, to some of the challenges that we'll need to face. But I'm excited about the future.
If I may compliment, I think that it's going to be, as Lee pointed out, adaptation. Things will be created, some things will be modified. And regarding these barriers that you mentioned, Richard, of course, then there is a political component on that. And that's why guardrails on AI use, a responsible use of AI that allows innovation is fundamental. And this goes along with AI standards as well. And the UK True AI Standards Hub is working in initiatives such as the OECD's catalog of tools and metrics for trustworthy AI. So this kind of initiatives putting forward, being inclusive, multi-stakeholder are important to make this transitional period easier, but of course, with a lot of potential, people and individuals in government shouldn't be afraid of using AI. It's part of today's digital environment, and then we need to use it in a responsible way, adapt, and work all together in and reinforcing the idea of the team sport, cooperation and collaboration with all sectors.
Thank you. So I think it's time to hand it over back to you, Adam.
Thank you, Luciano. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Bruna. Thanks. Thanks, both our speakers today. Interesting stuff. Great to have you with us. It's such an interesting topic, right? That we could have a series of webinars in the space. Before we do close out, I would like to hand over back to Bruna and Lee for closing thoughts and perhaps some fast-fire key trends we can expect in the AI space over the next few years. Bruna?
Well, I would like to reiterate my thanks to the organizers, to the audience as well. Otherwise, this webinar wouldn't be possible if there was lack of interest. And on that, reiterate the importance of multi-stakeholder collaboration, multi-stakeholder engagement, both at the international, national, and local levels. And as trends, I would say that AI creates scalability for both attackers, defenders, and the way to go appears to be good AI governance and harmonization on standards and collaboration in that regard with countries, industries, civil society. So this would be my final thoughts. Thanks to everyone.
Thank you, Bruna. Lee?
And I too would like to thank you very much for the opportunity to have this conversation with you all. My outlook, I think, is that there's some exciting times ahead for us, and that the opportunities are there for those that want to stand forwards and learn about them, use them, and take them on. A top trend or item to come from the future. I think that we are going to see some innovative and exciting uses of AI that nobody has thought of, that are going to fundamentally shift our world, and they're going to be a really positive thing. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what they might be.
Thank you very much, guys. As much as I'd like to carry on the conversations, pick up on related topics, unfortunately, we're going to have to end it there. I thank the speakers and the audience for their presence. Luciano, of course, for moderating today's discussion. We do hope it's been a fruitful and value-added event for everyone. Britcham's upcoming events are available on the website, www.britcham.com.br. I invite everyone to subscribe to Britcham's YouTube channel and share the link to the recording of this webinar. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I do hope to see you all in the next Britcham Paraná webinar. Wish everyone a great rest of the day. Thank you and bom dia a todos.